Hi, my name is Aaron Parsons, and today I'm here to talk about spine boards versus vacuum mattresses and why spine boards are causing more harm than good to patient care and why we should phase them out. I'll talk about the current technique of spine boards versus vacuum mattresses later down the line in further depth, and I'll also present some examples of spinal injuries and why it is important to change this quality of care that we currently provide for them. So as I just said, spine boards are ineffective and need to be replaced or phased out in order to produce higher quality of patient care, as most spinal injuries are very serious, as we will see in the next slide here. So this patient in this car accident most likely experienced a very serious spinal injury, and as you can see, fire and EMS are trying to remove the patient from the vehicle. So certain damaged areas of the spine are able to cause paralysis, usually, into the body, everywhere below that injury. So one nerve I want to highlight is the nerve in between the C3 and C4 vertebrae of your neck, basically, and how that nerve controls your breathing. So if that nerve got pinched in some way, such as if your head got pushed down and it compressed your spine down, you could possibly stop breathing. And then if we change quality of care, produce higher quality of care, it'll decrease the risk of further complications to the patient, such as developing more neurological deficits. So as you can see here in spinal injuries, most occur from motor vehicle accidents, followed by falls, followed by active violence, then followed by sports and other. So all these are commonly seen in everyday life. So no one's really safe from a spinal injury at some point. And here I wanted to highlight how over 45% of patients who experience a spinal injury experience incomplete tetraplegia, so they don't have control over their arms and legs. And how only 0.4% of all cases leave the hospital fully functional and normal. So it's pretty serious in order to change this, in order to produce higher quality of care. So on this slide and the next slide are going to be some examples of spinal injuries and some serious mechanisms of injury that can cause pretty serious damage to the spine. So as you can see here, they're hitting a pretty solid object, and that can cause multiple breaks in the spine and damage to the nerves. And in that picture to the left, I wanted to highlight how different environments require different sets of skills. So a spine board may not be the best mode of transportation in order to remove that hiker who has fallen into that helicopter. So, and on this picture, I wanted to highlight how this patient seems to have this curvature in his spine. And that curvature in the spine, you need a patient to lay flat in order to get them fully immobilized onto a spine board. With this guy, you can't do that because that can aggravate the spinal injury. That could cause way more damage than it needs to be. So a vacuum mattress would be able to conform more around the patient and hold him in a neutral position. That way you can remove him, and that way he has a higher chance of not developing any neurological deficit. So as I said in the intro, the current methods mainly used in America are spine boards for spinal mobilization. It's not as effective as once thought. This is able to cause more patient pain and aggravate secondary injuries and other underlying injuries to the patient that you may not have noticed during an examination. This also increases their risk of developing pressure sores, in which if any of you have worked in a nursing home before, you can see that some older people can develop bed sores. This is basically the same thing. So the only upside to this is that it's a solid material able to extricate patients very easily from a scene such as that motor vehicle accident earlier in the earlier slide. So in a vacuum mattress, it's commonly used among European EMS mostly, and it's able to conform to the patient's body, like I said in that one motorcycle accident. You have a higher level of patient comfort. Fewer patients seem to complain about pain when this was used, and you also have a decreased risk of developing pressure sores, so it's better quality for the patient. The only downside is that the material is possibly vulnerable to punctures. So in conclusion, spine boards don't provide the highest quality of patient care toward patients as once thought in the vacuum mattresses do. Seem to be developing better. All right.